When we drop the merch store for BAM, we're gonna get Knowledge Brokers podcast t-shirts to say, my dick is bigger than yours.
Well, I can't wear that, so that's If you're not getting educated about current real estate market conditions, whether you're a real estate agent, you're in mortgages, finance, title, accounting, or people are just asking your advice, maybe the uncle whose only experience is living in a home that we all have to deal with, you're doing yourself and your client base a disservice. This is the Knowledge Brokers Podcast. I'm Tom Toole, coast to coast with Byron Lazine and Lisa Chinatti. And we've got some CPI data this week, guys, and it came in a little higher than expected. The August core inflation, excluding food and energy, rose 0.3%. The overall consumer price index rose 0.6%, the biggest monthly gain of 2023, and the inflation gauge rose 3.7% from a year ago. So we've got this Fed meeting coming up in 5 days. What are your takeaways from the CPI data? Good news, bad news? How does this all play out?
But before we jump in, I just have to address for those that are watching on YouTube and they're like, wow, look at Lisa's view and look at Byron's view. Lisa's in my guest home down here. I'm perched up on a big, and she's down below on my little guest home down there.
You mean down below, closer to the water with a far better view?
Yeah. No. So Tom, we get here, right? And Lisa ends up with like half the hotel for herself. Everybody else is in these regular hotel rooms. And Realtor.com just gives her like half of the campus here.
Must be the second face that helps her get these rooms. I mean, they know Princess Chinatti's coming. They give her a wing of the hotel.
She has 14 butlers down there.
When he walked in and everybody was like hugging me and they were like, oh my God, Chinatti. And Byron was like, this is bullshit.
Oh, you should have seen this, Tom. Everybody, Realtor.com is what, a $3 billion company. That was the price floated around with CoStar anyways. They're owned by News Corp. Everybody, from the highest ranking person down to the lowest ranking person is just fawning over Lisa Chinatti. It's disgusting out here.
I don't know that it's necessarily bad news. I mean, it's the data. The data is the data. And when I always look at this CME Fed Watch tool, I find this to be very fascinating because the inflation is going to be what it is. We know that housing has been driving inflation throughout the course of the past 2-3 years. And the CME group, they have a 97% chance that we don't see a rate increase at the next Fed meeting. So that's what I want to hear. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and complain or bitch about the data. I want real reporting. I want real numbers. And the challenge we continue to have with core inflation is the way rents are calculated. Now, BAM had a great article about how landlords are throwing incentives in now to rents to help people to get them in there. So obviously we're seeing some movement on that's not reflected in the data. And I just want the Fed not to raise rates. I'm really hopeful we can stay the course here because we've seen inflation come down. I mean, it has worked. I mean, if you're going to see a blip, you got to think about what August is all about. People are going on vacation. They're spending more money. There's back to school shopping. There's a lot of consumer spending that happens. So I don't know that it's that unexpected. I just don't want the Fed to overreact to the data, which that seems to be the Fed's playbook. We're going to overreact to everything and let's dump some gas on the fire, then let's dump some water on it. So my hope is the CME group is right with their 97% projection here as of this morning that we're not going to see a rate increase next week.
Danielle Hale, the chief economist of Realtor.com, who's out here, she's going to be coming on the pod in the coming weeks. She mentioned yesterday this little increase was a lot to do with energy and what's going on with the Saudis. So, those kind of things can turn. Energy can be volatile at times where it can turn just based off of, if the government goes and makes a deal or, whatever, those things can change. So I'm not as worried about that particularly. And to your point, Tom, some of the other increases of people spending money, I think people are going to start spending less money here as we're getting into the fourth quarter. Danielle yesterday highlighted a couple things that would be concerning: the amount of debt that the consumer is taking on right now. That's been a kind of a yellow flag that was raised months ago, and maybe now it's turning into more of a red flag, where it's starting to become unsustainable long term. So the hope is that consumers will start spending less money. But this was it was hotter than expectations for CPI and PPI, which came out yesterday. But we'll see what happens in September. I think, Tom, you referenced 97% chance that they do not increase the rate, which is, unless something changes between now and next week when they meet. That's what we've been expecting. That's what the market has priced in. And I'd love to see where it goes with holding firm for a bit. Lisa, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I think it was, I think we'll hold steady, no doubt. I think the other thing that Danielle brought up, to Byron's point, consumers are taking on more debt, but they're also saving a lot less money. The statistics were startling when you actually looked at where the savings rates had gone, and kind of thinking about what long-term impact that will have, offset, of course, by the amount of equity that consumers have in their homes. So I don't think it's going to be catastrophic, but I do think that there's going to be a reset around consumer spending as they realize that the rate of savings is, I think it was down over 50% over the historical norms for consumer savings. I think it was sub 4%, which is, if my memory is correct, probably more alarming than the debt load is how little they're saving.
Ray Dalio just came out this week and says to hold cash temporarily. This is in CNBC, but don't buy debt and bonds. So he's literally saying, just hold on to your cash. And Lisa, to your point, consumers are doing, far less of that. It was well off of the average of the decade leading up to COVID,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
So,
If we can get a hold of the graphs, they would be super impactful for people to see. Because I think when you see the visual of it, the impact is huge.
yeah, depending on when Danielle comes on, I think we'll dig into that. She's been with Realtor.com for a long time. It was just out with her out in the hallway yesterday, and I'm pretty excited about having her come on. So I had to drop hey, we've had Lance Lambert on, we've had George Ratul, who used to work with on. He started laughing.
We have Lisa Chinatti on the show.
Yeah. You ever heard of this guy, Tom Toole?
No. No, that's fine. I'm not the Lisa Chinatti of Realtor.com. I play nice with them, and then behind the scenes, bash their product horribly. So it's it's amazing what happened.
I am a huge cheerleader for Realtor.com. I want my friends at Realtor.com to win and win big, and I just happen to have a relationship you both.
Lisa's a relationship gal. What else do we have on the docket here, Tom?
So,
because me have a really fancy breakfast to attend in
you guys have so much energy. This might be the shortest episode we have of this show, is my prediction here.
When you're eating caviar and breakfast and champagne.
Byron texted me last night and he was like, dude, I had no idea. It was funny.
Tom, why didn't you come to this? You got to come next year.
I didn't get invited, for the record, so I wasn't even allowed to come. There was no invite extended. This was invite only, and they said, "F this guy." And so, rightfully so.
We got to get Tom here next year, Lisa, because this is one you can't miss.
I'll bring him as my +1. My room will have an extra space for him. There's always a pull-out sofa, right?
Yeah, then Lisa will murder me in my sleep. It'll be great. Local realtor killed by other team leader.
Lisa, do you have any takeaways just based on the conversations here that knowledge brokers could be useful going into the coming weeks, and just maybe even just side conversations you've had out here? Do you have any big thoughts that you're having right now?
There were some interesting, for me, it was super interesting to hear all of the different viewpoints on the class action litigation that's going on, the NAR suits, the Anywhere settlement. There were definitely differing opinions that I don't think we've really heard in the past. And I think some fascinating insights as to the DOJ and the FTC with what could happen no matter what comes out of the settlements in terms of buyer agency commission. Also, I was super intrigued to understand that the Pacific Northwest is already operating in a stance where buyer agency commission isn't readily offered. And they've kind of pivoted around it. So there were some interesting conversations around that as well, and the lack of impact that it's had on the way that they do business. So some good stuff around that. I think kind of looking at, it was impactful to hear how much their SEM spend has gone up, because I think it's in line with ours. My
So
spend,
what's SEM spend for the morons like me out there that don't know what that means?
search engine marketing, so pay per click, but not just through Google or the like, right? And the difference between understanding the difference between SEO, the search engine optimization, where you're doing the stuff on your website to get it to come up organically, versus the search engine marketing that creates the advertising. And I think one of the things that I've seen over the past maybe 12 weeks, I actually, we shut off our buy side pay per click on Google, because our buy side leads, when they started hitting $60 or $70 per lead, that's not profitable for us with where the conversion rates are going. But and for a long time, I thought we were really kind of marketing against lenders, and just that there was a decrease in search traffic. But I think seeing how much these guys are throwing into that stuff right now, kind of understanding why our pay per click is so high at the moment, which was
Well, because
fascinating.
one of the reasons for that, especially in a big market like you're in, Lisa, is the battle of portals right now. So
Right,
Homes.com is spending a ton of money. They reference that out here. And so Realtor.com still spending, of course, Zillow's still spending. So
right.
instead of there being two major portals competing, there's three, maybe four. I don't know if Redfin spends, um, but certainly those other three are. I want to go, Lisa, to your points on the lawsuits, the class action lawsuits that James Dwiggins, he's the chief executive officer at Next Home, which is here in California. I think it's in Northern California here. So he owns a brokerage, and he's been really studying these lawsuits quite a bit. I thought he had a fascinating, really tight presentation for us. They didn't give him a lot of time. It was kind of like on the fly, because so many sidebar conversations with him were happening. And the folks here at RDC were like, dude, just jump on the stage for 20 minutes and break it down for everybody in the room. And I asked the question, we were able to ask a couple questions, and I didn't catch him at dinner. I'm hoping to catch him before my flight out here today. But I asked the question in the room. I said, what confidence do you have? He said that he doesn't think the sky's falling on us on the buyer agency. He believes there's going to be a normal practice in real estate, like in commercial, where buyer agents are able to get their commission directly from the buyer, as well as purchase and sales, giving sellers the option uh, to basically, fund that commission. Those are
Hmm.
two changes. But then his third change was that he had confidence that Fannie and Freddie are going to start financing some of the buy side commission. And I said, "What gives you that confidence?" His answer really was that NAR gives him that confidence.
Wow.
I just completely disagree. I understand where he's going with that. The NAR it's the biggest lobby group in the country. It has had significant power in, getting certain bills and legislation either through or to be stopped, in many instances in the past. But to get the banks to agree to take on that level of risk, where they've been risk adverse since 2009, 2010, and they've had to make a lot of changes, I see that as really far-fetched. So if you're an agent out there banking on the fact that Fannie and Freddie are gonna finance buyer commission, I think that's a big leap of faith. I wanted to dig in more with him. I wasn't gonna kind of hammer him with a back and forth when we were tight for time on the presentation, but I don't see that as an option at all.
So if you're looking to level up your business, scale it out, be able to manage more clients, have a bigger pipeline, you're going to need a reliable CRM. And as a Boomtown user since 2016, we've got some exciting news that KV Core and Boomtown are now part of the same family. And that means they've come together, they're using all their knowledge, all their tech, and they're making an even better CRM that's going to help you scale your business, sell more houses, talk to more people, and manage your leads more efficiently. And if you're like Lisa, she's in her CRM every week. She's in her CRM every day. I think that's what she does in her free time. and she's constantly looking at it to make sure that the opportunities aren't slipping through the cracks. That's what a great knowledge broker does. So if you want to get your business to another level, lean into Boomtown. Visit boomtownroi.com/knowledge brokers for more information. Again, it's boomtownroi.com/knowledge brokers. I'm a boomer since 2016. It's leveled my business up tremendously. Lisa loves her CRM. Byron does too. You should do the same. Get with Boomtown.
The other interesting point leading into the NAR discussion around this was NAR eventually settling, or, however that shakes out, and how it will be funded. And he believes that it will be funded through an assessment levied upon NAR members over this. What was that?
He had a number, $400 to $600 per member for 4 years. So if you're paying dues with your local board, I think I just paid, it was like $700. It was like NAR was wrapped in local board.
Yeah.
They want you to donate a kidney or something on top of that. And then he's saying there's going to be an assessment of another $400 to $600 for 4 years on top of that. And that's how they're going to fund. He had a number, $2 to $4 billion he thinks NAR settlement will be. This is just, somebody making a projection.
So I've got some. I spoke to my father about this. So he's been a broker owner. He's one of the original Remax broker owners. So he's been doing this a while. And there was an article on Housing Wire about this too, that the lenders are just so reliant on their real estate relationships. They may not have a choice but to finance this. And I mean, think about how many times you guys get pitched by lenders to be your lending partner, right? Now, I'm with you, Byron. I think this is going to be tough to get that approved, because look at Wells Fargo. They basically shut down their mortgage arm because it wasn't profitable for them, right? So you're seeing big banks kind of get out of the lending business. There is a sentiment out there that could happen. And so that would be interesting if that plays out that way. But we're talking about affordability and debt and all these other things. I mean, it's just like, let's just add more on. I don't know if that's the right way to go here either. And it may be a situation where I liken this to when you find a for sale by owner or an off-market property for one of your buying clients, and you got to negotiate your fee with them, or, and have that conversation up front. And I've been able to do that successfully. I know you two have as well. And we made a presentation at our brokerage this week while you guys were playing out in the sand. I was working and doing this sort of stuff. We have about 90 agents at our brokerage. About half are with our team. And a lot of these people have been in the business 20, 30 years. And the conversation was, hey, in the absence of value, you will not earn your fee. So if you're not really presenting to people, and I've got an interesting case study about this I'll share too, and you're not focusing on, hey, here's how I can help you navigate this market. Here's the benefits of paying out a commission to a buyer if that's what you want to do as a seller. This is going to be the thing that knowledge brokers really need to understand, how to have the script ready, how to be able to communicate that. And every agent out there should be ready for commercials popping up. And you guys have seen these. Like, if you bought a home between 2010 and 2020, you might be entitled to compensation. And there could be something like that happens as well if this suit does settle. So I wouldn't be surprised about any of this. I have a hard time believing the banks are going to allow that, Byron. I'm with you, but there is a sentiment in the industry that it could go that way.
I mean, if that happens, it's like, wow, what a, it makes it really easy for, if that happens, by the way, what everybody's saying is, oh, this is going to reduce the amount of agents competing. If that happens, you're going to have just as many agents as you've always had, because it makes it easy. I just find that really hard to believe. Here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons why I find that hard to believe. Redfin just reported yesterday that monthly housing costs have now hit the all-time high. Okay, so the mortgage payment hit an all-time high of $2,632 during the 4 weeks ending September 10th. Today, Redfin comes out with another article reporting that you have cancellations at the highest point in almost a year. Okay, and they've got a whole bunch of these locations listed out. So, I don't see banks saying, yeah, let's throw a buy side commission on top of this when these numbers are so tight for buyers as it is. And right now, with it being unaffordable, you've got appraisal concerns. There's just a lot of concerns in that. One thing I'll say about all these Redfin articles, and being out here at realtor.com and realtor saying, one of their strategies is to pump out a ton of content. You see all of these guys doing this. Zillow, Redfin pumps out so much content. It's one of the core strategies to realtor.com is like, we want to pump out a ton of content on their actual website, right? So I think a lot of agents have gotten comfortable just, running SEM, like we were talking about before, doing their social, but not putting any content on their website. It's still a core strategy for all of these portals, to put out a ton of publications on their websites and drive traffic that way too. And I'm just like, I'm on Redfin right now. I'm just like, holy smokes, look at how much they're posting. They had 2 posts yesterday. They already had 1 today. It's early out here on the West Coast. I mean, almost every day, it's almost like they're trying to be a mini BAM, Redfin, but they're posting a ton.
Are you tired of taking horrible courses offered by your local realtor board or the NAR online classes? I know I am. And the fact is, you don't get a lot of value from those courses. So here's the good news. BAMX, your real estate edutainment platform, is here. You can find out how to master objections with me, the objection handling king, practiced and scripted for over 20 years. You can learn how to use ManyChat with the broke agent and Jill from BAM. You can work with Lisa Chinatti about managing your CRM, understand how to use Canva for marketing, get Instagram hacks. All this stuff is right there in BAMX. Just use the code Knowledge Brokers. Educate yourself, grow your business, sell more houses.
All right, what else we got, Tom? Me and Lisa got caviar and champagne and
Here's the last thing I want to leave you guys with. I was working this week, and we talk about listings constantly, right? So I went on a listing appointment with one of our agents yesterday, and this is someone that we had sold a house to 4 or 5 years ago, and database protection in terms of what you guys are talking about right now, I think that's going to be critical for any of the agents that are out there. I mean, if you're looking to take more listings or ramp up your business, if you're not having, the ocean view is going away here, if you're not protecting your database. So we met with this gentleman. He responded to some of the email marketing that we're doing. We're doing a lot of the stuff you're talking about, Byron, with email marketing, posting on our website, doing that sort of thing. So then after we get done the appointment, and we didn't take this for granted. We did everything like we normally do. We send a pre-listing video. We pre-qualify him. We get clear on where he's going to. Showed up wearing a suit. All the stuff that you guys teach your agents, right? Comes out later, the wife had a friend over. And listen to this incompetence. And this is wild to me. The husband handled all the meetings. Husband did not know the woman's last name, right? So just imagine that. So think of the lack of, has no idea who she is. She sends a market analysis afterwards and got the price wrong in the market analysis, and by $100,000. He said, "Oh, this seems low." She's like, "Whoops, I meant to send another number to you." And we're going to go in there. I'm confident we're going to list this house. The point is, if you're not treating these, I see so many agents, they're lazy with their listing appointment. Oh, it's my sphere, Lisa. I'm good. Or Byron, hey, it's my good friend. You don't know who they're talking to. And I cannot stress this enough, that you've got to show up 100% of the time on these things. And if you're not communicating with your database, I think you're going to be vulnerable, because there's less listings. There's less people out there that are listing their house. That's what everyone wants right now. And there's agents out there trying to win on personality, win on relationships, instead of win on tactical strategy along with the relationship. To me, you got to do both, right? It's relationship and strategy and knowledge. And I said to the person on our team after we got done, I said, good thing we showed up and showed out, just like Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes do. What do you guys think about this right now? Because I think there is a casualness to the listing appointment that is going to burn a lot of people, and there's market share to grab right now. And that's just a great example. I'm glad we executed the way we did. And if we didn't, who knows how it plays out.
Yeah, the listing appointment is far less about the home tour and far more about the presentation and ability to deepen that relationship and find the common interests or relationships between the two parties. Just like on the buy side, it's so much less about showing, getting you into the door using showing time. And I think agents kind of think that that's what their job is, using showing time and taking a tour when they're on the listing appointment. Those are like 1% of the equation in both situations. So we're in the process of revamping our listing presentation right now. We're in the process of making sure we have enough things in the market that we only do. You know, in our market, there's only one radio show on FM radio that reaches that audience. Zillow's going to reach 75% of the audience. If you're going into a listing appointment against me, I'm going to make it very clear that you're going to have to 75% is already done. So every agent coming in here and you yourself, seller, can captivate 75% of the eyeballs on Zillow. Here's what I'm doing on the 25%. And if everybody that's competing against us cannot articulate what they're doing to fill in the 25% to get you the maximum dollars, then they just don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna just basically put all agents in this box and make it clear that we're competing over the 25%. And so you got to find things that only you do and really highlight them and blow them up, and then have the data to back it up and present it in a way, Tom, that people can understand it. If you start going, you know, SEM rush over here like Lisa, they might not know what the heck you're talking about.
Industry lingo. I say this all the time. So important to leave the industry lingo out of the fucking listing presentation. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I agree.
But y'all should know SEO and SEM and PPC and CPL and CAC and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, and if you don't know those, if you're a knowledge broker, Lisa just spit out a whole bunch. Those aren't realtor designations, by the way. Go Google those terms. They're pretty important. There's a way to actually explain SEM in the listing presentation, you know, and so you want to explain it. If you're running pay-per-click or you're running pre-roll or something like that on a listing, you want to tell a story. Hey, do you watch YouTube at all? Yeah, I watch you. Do you engage in these different platforms? Yeah. This is, what do you watch on there? Oh, I watch this. Have you ever seen an ad pop up? Right. You want to get them into something that they've experienced, and then show them exactly how you're going to do the same thing to capitalize on those eyeballs.
I actually picked this up from Lisa last week. We were making some recruiting calls, and she's talking to the agent, and she goes, "Hey, have you heard of Zillow?" And it's like you're kind of saying that in a way where you're not assuming, because some people don't know. Like you meet with someone that's maybe, decide. Some people aren't in a real estate making decision. So I think that's really smart, Byron, the storytelling. Hey, you watch YouTube, right? Like you get them saying yes, and that's a sales technique. And when you can relate to people that way, I think Steve Harney said it best. He's like, if you can't explain the market conditions in a way that people can understand, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's really the game right now. So I just found that experience fascinating, because I know that our agent did all the right things, but you still don't know. And I hear so many people, they skip like important steps in their process, whatever you guys do at your respective teams. I'd imagine the processes are all pretty similar. When you skip stuff or you don't follow the plan, you don't get the result you want. So I think it's just a caution out there to agents that you're going to see more and more of this, because listing appointments are going to get more competitive right now. I mean, it's just the way it is. There's less of them. People want more, especially the strong agents. So if you're not approaching that like, I've got to do everything I can to get this listing every single time, you're going to lose, and you're going to be upset that you lost, but it's because you didn't follow your process that has a documented and specific result.
Yeah, I completely agree. We should go through a listing presentation here on the Knowledge Brokers Pod at some point. Yeah. We're going to be doing a live Knowledge Brokers podcast next week at BAM Camp. So, little hidden secret, if you're missing BAM Camp, you will at least get to see our segment of BAM Camp, because that will be the pod on Friday. We're doing it live Wednesday at the event, and then it'll get uploaded as the pod on Friday. So if you're not going to make BAM Camp, don't worry. At least you're going to see the best panel of BAM Camp right here.
That I agree with.
Mask, like one of those Phantom of the Opera masks, so that I have like a white face.
It's Two-Face from Batman is what you are, Lisa. You got the coin you flip. You got an X on the one side.
I don't think
Byron will bring radioactive acid to burn your face, just like they did in the comic book. It'll be perfect. I'm sure Steve will love that. It'll just keep the friendship going for years to come.
I'm going to go Phantom of the Opera. Thanks.
You know what, Tom? When we're down there rummaging through shrimp cocktail and caviar in a minute, I'm sure all the whatever happens to Lisa's face, the acid is just going to wash off with the sea breeze. And
I'll go
so
get a facial.
we're doing this. Actually, I probably shouldn't say on the pod what we're doing for our notebooks at BAM camp. I guess I shouldn't say. Eric will get mad if I leak that out. Anyways,
Oh my God.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think we've
well, basically all the speakers have to come up with a quote, and
Yes.
guess what Lisa's quote was?
It's good.
Which face do you like better? I don't know.
No. What she always likes to say, mine is bigger than yours.
Yes. No, that's. Why don't you know what? I think you should send that quote to Steve and see what Steve thinks. Be like, hey, Steve, what do you think of this quote from your wife? And maybe we should. Maybe are you gonna share this with your daughters, Lisa? Is that the kind of content you're putting out there as a parent?
When we drop the merch store for BAM, we're gonna get Knowledge Brokers podcast t-shirts to say, my dick is bigger than yours.
Well, I can't wear that, so that's.
You can wear that down the shore. It's probably true there where you have your.
I don't know. There's
beach
a lot of. I told you what I thought of the crowd at the Phillies game, so I'm gonna just lay low. That's my.
Big game for the Eagles last night there.
I fell asleep.
I'm my caviar.
Yep. No, I got a lot of fancy breakfast.
All right, go get that knowledge.